Welcome back to Broken Bobby's transformation page. In the late 80s, I became involved with drugs and would eventually become part of that lifestyle of trafficking, addiction, and violence. Over the next 20 years, I would be in and out of jail and prison. If you're thinking about trying something or you're dealing with addiction, your life don't need to go down the same path mine did. I hurt a lot of people, both physically and emotionally. These are my stories of how I transformed my life, and you can too. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see by the thumbnail and the title, this is street takeovers and the indictments that I believe are coming from them. Now, if you don't know what street takeovers are, I believe it started up northern Cali, and this is where a bunch of cars come and gather, typically little sports cars, racy type cars, and they basically take over an intersection and people perform like burnouts and stuff with people hanging out the windows. In my opinion, it's like the new age cruising. Like back in my day, we'd go out to Magnolia and Riverside, or even further back, East Street in San Bernardino or Whittier Boulevard. And, you'd take your Cutlass or your lowrider or whatever you may have, and you'd cruise up and down the block and kick it with the homies, basically. There's always a bunch of females out. So, it's that type of stuff for younger people. And, these takeovers have become a pretty prominent thing. And there's currently an investigation that just went down in the high desert into these car clubs. And there were a bunch of arrests made. So I'll get into that further. But if you're new to the channel, subscribe, smash that like button, drop a comment, and share this video if you know somebody that may enjoy this sort of content. Also, hit that notification bell so that anytime I drop a new video or go live, you will be notified. Make sure you hit all. And also, you can become a member of the channel. Just hit that join button and take a look at the different levels of membership. So, recently there was an investigation, I believe June 4th, and into high desert car clubs. There was an incident in Adelanto where they were on a piece of property out there, I guess, and they were performing burnouts like in a takeover type of fashion. And, they were making videos and they were displaying things that are illegal and stuff like that. And it drew a bunch of attention from the local authorities. Now, keep in mind, on May 11th, on Highland and Victoria in San Bernardino, down by San Manuel, if you're familiar with that area, there was a similar situation where there was a street takeover, and when the sheriffs came, a bunch of people attacked the sheriff's vehicle, and there was actually a 15-year-old that was arrested for public vandalism and attempted carjacking. Pretty serious charges, actually. And, I feel bad for the kid because he's a youngster and, he probably got caught up in the moment with his homeboys. But due to that situation, they ended up doing, I think it was called Operation Consequences, where they served a bunch of search warrants and they impounded 23 cars, 37 adults were arrested, and 19 minors were arrested, all in conjunction with what had happened in Adelanto and in Highland. And to be honest with you, I think the cops are looking for ways to shut these street takeovers down. And one way that I see that could possibly happen is, what they did with us back in the day was, and it wasn't just for the cruising, but they started doing gang injunctions. And you may say, well, how can you tie a gang injunction to this? hear me out on this one, okay? So the state of California, basically, or might be the county of Los Angeles. I'm not sure. I found something on Google though, explaining how they define a gang. Basically, the way a gang is defined by them is three or more individuals who have uh, similar symbols that they use to identify themselves as part of this, who also regularly partake in criminal activity. Hence, at the thing, they were showing those things, driving recklessly, like these are all illegal activities. And ultimately, what I think it could lead to, I mean, that 15-year-old that got arrested, like he's in a lot of trouble. You know, if they charge him as an adult, like he may end up doing 20 years in prison over that because he got caught up with his homeboys, you know. And a lot of the stuff that's going on here is being posted to social media by these car clubs. And, you know, my advice to you guys, if you see this, would be stop doing that. You're just telling on yourselves, you know, like, yeah, what you're doing, you may think it's cool and stuff, but ultimately it's against the law. And when you are in handcuffs sitting in that box, they're going to play your video to convict you. So just something to think about there, because, you know, they're not playing around. And if they do ultimately go into these gang injunctions and further indictments, because things happen, right? You know, you're doing your burnout and your homeboy's hanging out the window. And, you know, I've seen videos where inadvertently you crash into somebody else. Well, what happens when your homeboy falls out the window and you run him over? On accident, of course, you know what I mean? And it's all on video and somebody wants to post it to social media so they can get some views. Well, now you're looking at 20 years in the pen, if not more. And, you know, if they start tying these gang injunctions, and let me explain to you how I think that would work. So, symbols, right? Like, I'm going to show you an image of a car club's symbol, right? So, there's that there. You know, so you're part of a car club, you'll have a similar symbol. And so now what they would do, the way they did it with us back then, it wasn't so much from the car club symbols, but, you know, if you could be tied to a certain neighborhood or something and you were caught amongst your peers, like you could get a year in the county jail for that, just for being in the presence of these people, even if you did nothing wrong. You know, the assumption is always, oh, well, you know, they're gang members or whatever. So that's what it is. But, you know, so they throw the gang injunctions, they do indictments, and now you're caught up. And gang enhancements, just if you don't know, you know, that could add another 10 years to your sentence right off the top. So just something to think about. I'm not saying to not go out and have fun. I mean, you're only young once, right? You know, live your best life, but just be careful in what you guys are doing out there. You know, uh, they're cracking down, and like it really, you know, one of the rules was always don't mess with the cops because the cops can make your life very difficult. And on May 11th, when they did that in San Bernardino, they just put a spotlight on what they're doing, basically. And once this stuff gets into the news, these cops end up under a lot of pressure to get it knocked off. So do me a favor, drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Do you think they might use gang injunctions in order to stop the street takeovers? Do you think that they're totally harmless? Do you think they need to be shut down? I definitely think people need to stop posting stuff on social media. The views aren't worth the time that you're going to get and the video that's going to be used against you in a court of law. So that's my take on these street takeovers and the indictments that are possibly coming. Like I said, 37 adults, 19 minors, 23 cars were impounded on this last one up in the high desert. You know, do you want your car to be impounded? Like, it's, man, things are tough out here right now. It's hard enough to have a nice car, anyways. And then for the Hudas to come and just take it, that's all bad, homie. So that's my take on it. Like I said, drop a comment. If you enjoyed the video, be sure and hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. But either way, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you know somebody that enjoys this sort of content, be sure to share it to them and other social media platforms. We are growing. We just surpassed 1,300 subs. Shout out to you guys for that. I appreciate you. I know some of you guys have been rocking with me for a long time, and I really appreciate that. So you can check out the memberships. They are available. Hit that join button. Take a look. It's month to month. If you get a membership and you decide it's not for you, you can always cancel that at any time. And yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel. So I hope everybody's having a great weekend. And don't look at the mountain. Just start climbing.